Well, it's been one of the top trending topics this past week, and that's because everybody seems to have an interest one way or another in this. Now, the latest election results from Zimbabwe show that the ruling Zanu-PF party has taken an early lead. And reports from Harare say that there are now 102 National Assembly seats so far that have been announced. And of those 102, Zanu-PF has 73, the MDC Alliance 28, and one of those seats has gone to the National Patriotic Front. And the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission, or ZEC, has had to release some of those preliminary election results early yesterday, and they're saying at that point that Zanu-PF was taking the lead with 36 constituencies and the MDC Alliance trailing by 10, with 10 rather. And Zimbabwe's National Assembly is made up of 210 seats, which meant that at that point 3/4 of the results are yet to be declared, and at this point it is still too early to call. And regardless of this, though, the opposition leader Nelson Chamisa has claimed victory and went on to say that the Electoral Commission is buying time in order to manufacture the result in favour of Zanu-PF and its candidate, President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Elections expert Litlhare Rabele joins us now to try and unpack some of these nuances and intricacies. Thanks so much for coming through once again.
Thanks, Akina, and happy Women's Month to you and all other women in South Africa. I think the statements that have been made by Nelson Chamisa were really unfortunate, and one would say a bit premature, because for a leader to make those statements, it's kind of reassuring to his supporters that they have victory, which may not necessarily be the case. So it's important that they remain calm and wait patiently while they encourage their supporters to really respect the outcome of the elections as it is. But it's been also interesting to see that in some of the areas which were traditionally predominantly MDC, like Bulawayo, their votes have been split. So if they went into the elections as one MDC, probably they would have had higher chances in those areas. So you have MDC Alliance and the one for Tokosan Kupe getting really good results, but not enough to get them the constituencies. So these are some of the challenges. And we also saw that women in general didn't perform very, very well. This is a common challenge for women across.
What would you attribute that to, though?
For women who are within political parties, the challenge is that political parties themselves, they don't support a woman candidate. For instance, presidential candidates of all the main parties, I would say none is a woman. Zanu-PF could have decided to go for a woman candidate, and it would be easier for all their supporters to rally behind such a candidate. MDC Alliance as well. And one other challenge that women face in politics generally is the lack of mutual support among women voters. I mean, out of the more than 5 million voters registered, more than 3 million of those are women. And when they go out to cast their votes, they don't necessarily support women candidates, whether as independent candidates, as members of constituencies, or as the presidential candidates. But also to say, Sakina, one of the main challenges is that often women in politics are portrayed negatively by the media, and that in a patriarchal society, in a society that is really dominated by cultural norms, it reflects badly on women in politics.
In this specific instance of the latest Zimbabwe election, how did the media do that?
I didn't see much coverage of Joyce Mujuru, even the last campaign rallies. I may not have seen this, but I think she wasn't given sufficient coverage. Even on polling day, I mean, we saw cameras rolling everywhere, but I still think media broadly was more focused on the main candidates, Chamisa and Mnangagwa. And so, yeah.
And just coming back to the question of calling the poll at this point, is it too early to call? Because if you think about South Africa and you think traditionally we vote on a Wednesday, by Thursday evening, Friday morning, we already know what the result is. On a Saturday, traditionally, the IEC declares that result after having looked at all the objections that may have been raised. Now, in this instance, you have about 6,000 registered voters, of which there was a 75% voter turnout, which leaves you at about, say, 4.5 million. Does it really have to take a whole week for you to be able to declare a result?
Look, I think as long as the ZEC is in line with the timelines within the electoral law, that should be fine. And we should also give them the time so that they are sure that the results they will release within the stipulated time is the actual outcome, because they would also not want to be challenged for unnecessary adding or, you know, those reconciling of ballots. So I think we can still give them a few more days. What they had said was by the 4th, official results.
But why? The question is, why does it have to take this long? Because when the results, after the polling stations close, already the counting starts. In your smaller constituencies, those results will be available, you know, within a couple of hours, as it were. And the question then becomes, conversely, you know, is this not also opening them up to criticism like we have seen now, where they are accused of buying time in order to allegedly try and rig the results?
No, that's a good observation. Often opposition parties would be anxious, the waiting, and then that raises suspicions that, well, they are up to something. Why can't they release the results? And of course, we know from the constituencies, the polling stations, the results are posted out there. But perhaps ZEC should really consider speeding up the process while ensuring that there's no unnecessary, you know, challenges that may arise from a tabulation of results. Yeah.
Well, Litlhare will be with us for a continued period throughout the morning, so we'll give you more and more analysis on the Zimbabwean election results. And in case you missed it, just a reminder there, the Zimbabwean National Assembly is made up of 210 seats, and as of now, reports from Harare say that 102 of those 210 seats have been announced, and so far Zanu-PF has garnered 73 seats, the MDC Alliance 28, and 1 seat has gone to the National Patriotic Front. So we'll leave it there for the time being with Litlhare Rabele, and as I said, more analysis throughout the morning. And send us your views at Morning Live and also hashtag Morning Live. With that said, let's go to a break, and when we come back, of course, much more in terms of stories to come your way, and also last night's announcement by President Cyril Ramaphosa will also try and unpack more of that.